Welcome back. So in this video, we are going to be working on review. We're going to review inequalities, we're going to review dependent and independent variables, and we're going to review identifying patterns between two related variables and how to write that as an equation. Let's start with inequalities on page 248. It's asking you to write an inequality for each situation. Remember that an inequality is less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, or just not equal to. So here are some examples. The age of a house, A, is greater than 3 years. The cost of the house, C, is at least $50,000. When you see words like at least or at the most, you know it's or equal to. The number of windows, W, is fewer than 10, like that. The number of people, N, living in the house is at most 5, at most. Notice the or equal to. The number of trucks, T, in the garage is not 2. Okay, so for these 5 problems, write an inequality and pause the video. Come back when you're ready to check your answers. Okay. P is less than or equal to 5. V is less than 5. G is not equal to 8. D is greater than or equal to 6. T is greater than 2. All right, now let's look at the second half of the page. In this one, it has some inequalities graphed, and your job is to write the inequality. So something to remember here is these open or closed points on the graph. If the point is open, it means it does not include that number. If the point is filled in, that means it includes that number. So those filled in points are going to have an or equal to part to them. Okay, go ahead and do those 4 problems and then start the video up again when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, X is less than 10. X is greater than 5. X is greater than or equal to 3. X is less than or equal to 7. Okay, let's talk about dependent and independent variables. So this is a good review right here. Remember that to identify a dependent variable, you want to ask yourself, which variable depends on the other? And to identify the independent variable, ask yourself, which variable causes the other one to change? So, for example, the Spirit Squad is washing cars. They're trying to make money. Now, M equals 2C represents the money they make. M for washing C amount of cars. So which would be dependent there? The amount of money the Spirit Squad makes depends on the number of cars they wash, so the dependent variable is M, making C the independent variable. So take a look at these 4 problems, see if you can figure out which is the dependent, which is the independent. Pause the video here, start it up again when you're ready to check your answers. All right. The dependent variable is D, the independent is S. The dependent is C, the independent is A. The dependent is M, the independent is S. The dependent is R, and the independent is E. Okay, let's look at the second half of that page. So now we're starting to look for patterns between 2 related variables. We're going to find the rule and write the equation. In the example, you notice pretty quickly what the rule is, right? It's 3 times 4 equals 12, 4 times 4 equals 16, 5 times 4 equals 20, and so on. So that means that Y is 3 times as much as X. That's the rule. The equation would be Y. I said 3 times, I meant 4 times. The equation would be Y equals 4X. Now, let's look at these two practice problems. You're going to find the pattern and write the equation that describes that pattern, and then you're going to complete the table with the missing values. With number 2, it's given you the equation and it's given you all of the x values, and your job is to fill in the y values. Okay, so try those. Pause the video here and start it up again when you're ready to check your answers. Here we go. So here the equation is y equals 0.5 of x. You could also say 1/2 x. You could even say x over 2. All of those are equivalent to each other. Then the missing values are 8 and 10. For number 2, gave you the equation and you had to fill in the y values. So those y values are 7, 13, 19, 25, and 31. And just all you do is plug in the x value. So 6 times x is 6, plus 1 is 7. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13, and so on. All right, let's look at page 250. That is our last page for today and our last page of the journal. Hopefully you have picked up your new journal by now. Okay, so here we're doing, again, noticing the pattern and filling in the y values, and then we're going to graph the ordered pairs on the coordinate plane. There's a good review here to remind you what to do. When you find the pattern, you're able to fill in the missing values, and then once you have the values in the table, the x and the y become ordered pairs. So, read the problem. The cross-country team practices by jogging on the town's streets. The average jogging rate is 6 miles per hour. One member jogged for 3.5 hours one weekend. How many miles did the team member jog? Complete the table to relate the number of miles to the number of hours jogged. So we know here it's 6 miles per hour, and here we have the number of hours is 1, so the y value will be 3.5. What will the other values be? Then once you've figured out those values, turn the x and y values into ordered pairs and graph them. Then write your equation and solve this problem. And then we're going to talk about something completely different. Alex, who is evidently not on the cross-country team, he's making puppets though, which is good. He bought all the string needed for $125. So he spent $125 on all the string he needed. It costs $8 for the remaining materials to make each puppet. So $18 for every puppet, for each puppet. Then what is the total cost to make 50 puppets? $125 and $18 each for the puppets. So work on those problems and start the video up again when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, here's my table. 1 hour is 6 miles, 2 hours is 12 miles, 3 hours is 18 miles. Then with those ordered pairs, 1, 6, 2, 12, and 3, 18. I made a graph. And then here's the equation, y equals 6x, and 21 miles is the answer to that problem. And then for Alex and his puppet making, here's the equation that I used. I said, okay, well, he's making 50 puppets, and each one of the cost for each one of those was $18. So 50 times 18 plus $125 for the string for all of them will equal the cost. And when I solved that, I got $1,025. Okay. All right. That's it. Goodbye, Volume 1. There's a few things, some puzzles and things at the back. If you want, there's a glossary of terms. So it's not a bad thing to hold on to for now. And hopefully you've picked up volume 2, and we'll start on that tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.